Hey guys, it is day 119, 58 degrees out here today. I'm out here today in the Nike GT Jump 2s. Here it is from the side and from the other side. All right, so first off, I just want to make a blanket statement and say that this shoe is awesome. Now, right away, I could tell you that there are going to be a ton of people that are not exactly going to work with the shoe. People that are going to do a lot of cutting and lateral movements, this probably isn't going to be the shoe for you. But with that little caveat out of the way, let's talk about who would love this shoe. For starters, how about big dudes like me who like a lot of cushion? But really, any person, any player that likes to feel cushion yet bounciness at this within their shoe, this is just a great mix. Within this shoe, let's first talk about its base layer of cushioning, which I would consider the full-length Zoom Strobel. It's going to run the full length of that shoe. That alone already provides a really nice basis for comfort, and they've paired that with a semi-caged React foam for the heel. And React is one of my favorite foams. It feels so good underfoot. But then they've put two Zoom airbags right under your forefoot, and those are like partially exposed, and the feeling underfoot is like really crazy. The heel gives you all the comfort you would want from that standpoint, but then those Zoom airbags, I mean, it just keeps everything nice, lively, and springy. You're not going to get excellent court feel with a shoe like this, but they've made this maximalist shoe, yet it feels fairly lightweight, surprisingly, and still, I'm not going to call it nimble, but for a design that has all of this tech wrapped up in it, I think they did it really, really well and kept the weight down to where it's about as nimble as it probably could be. I mean, there are some things that they definitely could have taken off of the shoe to cut weight down, but you at that point you're kind of killing the design as well. On the ankle collar of the shoe, you can see those little puffy pads, and to my knowledge they don't do anything. They really don't serve any purpose, but it's part of that futuristic look, I guess, that they were going for with the shoe. With the way that the Zoom airbags are housed underfoot, they have there are places that are left kind of exposed, and if someone's foot came down at a specific angle or something, it could land on a kind of like an outward portion of the housing, and could probably really mess up the shoe. So from a durability standpoint, I don't know how durable these things really would be, but speaking strictly from a comfort standpoint, this is great. Underfoot, it feels responsive as I'm shifting into the second part of my stride, and when I come down on the heel, the React isn't like this is kind of like a slightly harder version of what I'm used to with React, but I think they needed to do that just to accommodate the sport of basketball. But yeah, very, very nice all the way through. They're not making the shoe anymore, and I feel that's kind of sad. I really like the shoe a lot. I'm trying to think offhand, but I really can't think of another Nike offering of recent years that is more unique yet retains practicality. Like, if you follow shoes, the Nike Mind stuff, like that little slip on, and then there's another shoe, that looks interesting to me, but all the reviews are kind of saying it's trash. So I'll probably end up waiting until it hits like Ross Dress for Less. But that doesn't really look practical to me, and it's not something that I really see that it's worth the cost. There are other shoe brands out there that are trying things and innovating. I'm not really seeing that much from Nike right now. And that's kind of sad because I'd like to see them, be the innovation leader. Even if a person, say, picked these shoes up and this wasn't going to be their daily driver, the do all-purpose shoe or anything, you could say that this shoe is very interesting. It has a lot of technology embedded within it, and that's something that I hope that Nike doesn't lose their focus on. In recent years, we've had the Book 1 and then sadly the Book 2 and then Sabrina, and those are all good lines. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with those shoes. They are very basic but very nice. But it would be nice if Nike could also throw in a little bit of that cutting edge stuff, because frankly, the Chinese brands are kind of owning it at the moment. Those brands are getting some decent endorsements within the NBA, and really one of the key things that they're missing at the moment are basically brick and mortar presences, but as more and more people are willing to take the plunge and try some of these Chinese brands out and they wear them and it becomes more popular, at some point kids just stop caring about needing to wear the latest Jordans, and they don't really care about that anymore anyway, most of them. But they won't feel pressure to really be in a pair of Nikes either. They will be wearing products that feel better, help them perform better, and those shoes exist, and Nike has to know that. They have had to test some of those products. So I'm hoping that I'm actually pulling for Nike that they can pull it out and wake up, because the Chinese brands, they're here, and if they can ever get their foothold into places like Foot Locker and other places like that, then I don't know. I don't know if it's game over for Nike, because they have such a strong brand presence. But unfortunately, it's hard to really compare like a Way of Wade 10 versus a Book 1. They're like night and day, and I'd have to go with a Way of Wade. And every iteration, Way of Wade 11, Way of Wade 12, pretty much better than anything Nike's producing right now. It's just the truth. Sorry to go off on that tangent. This shoe, the GT Jump 2, it's a very linear shoe. I don't feel it it actually surprisingly doesn't feel all that unstable. Like, I'm not really feeling myself rock side to side with the shoe. That's nice. But with the exposed airbags and all that, I don't really know if I would trust this doing any sort of complex movements. Like, I'm not going to be trying to cross anybody up with shoes like this. So for somebody like me who is pretty lethargic and who plays like an old center from back in the day, like Patrick Ewing and stuff, then a pair of shoes like this are phenomenal. And that's okay. We're not all 115 pounds soaking wet, tiny little anemic guards that, bounce all over the place. And I could be completely wrong about this, but I think Joker played in these before he had his 361 deal, and it kind of makes perfect sense, because the dude, while he's definitely one of the most talented players in the league, he certainly isn't one of the most athletic. I think a pair of shoes like this would be almost perfect for his play style. All right, I have a weigh-in tomorrow. As I always say, I don't really know how that's going to go. This week has been kind of a mixed bag of decent eating versus a lot of pasta. I went to the spaghetti factory with my wife and kid over the weekend. I think I followed it up the next day with some pizza. I think the night before spaghetti factory was more pizza. So I don't know, guys. This one's kind of scary. All right, well, that's going to do it for me today. I'll check back in with you guys tomorrow. Take it easy.